just trying to block me. Everything was going against the sanction bodies, going against everything that people sit and tolerate. I wasn't tolerating it, so it's kind of like the black sheep, like, he's the bad one, get him out of here, we don't need him.
Disgusting. I think this is musty at the highest level. Oh, Shakur Stevenson has been struck.
Terence Crawford just spoke up, and he's not going to hold back. The experienced boxer used Instagram to send a message that shocked the whole sport. In it, he spoke directly to the World Boxing Council in the most direct way possible. It was clear that he was joking when he wrote, "WC ain't no way y'all are still this mad. It's cool, bro. The ring belt was free." This wasn't a random post from a retired fighter trying to stay current. Crawford was getting into a fight that had been building up for months.
He's so motherfucking better than any of the other sanctioned bodies, huh? Answer that question. What makes you better than the WBO, the IBF, or the WBA? Everybody accepted what I was giving them. But you, the WBC, think that you better than everybody, don't you?
One of the most powerful boxing organizations was being sued by his protege, Shakur Stevenson. For years, there has been increased hostility between fighters and the people who decide what fights can happen. But what's going on now goes beyond the usual charges of corruption against politicians. This matters to me. This is about getting even, having different rules, and a fight that could split the sport in two. The WBC treated Shakur Stevenson the same way they treated Crawford only a few months before. And boxers are finally starting to understand what's going on. The question that everyone has is easy to answer. Is this really about following the rules? Are fighters who spoke out against the WBC getting in trouble? Let's go back to January 31st, 2026, when Shakur Stevenson walked into Madison Square Garden with a lot to show. This will help you understand why Crawford is so angry. The fighter Teofimo Lopez, who was 28 years old and from Newark, New Jersey, was known for being strong, fast, and full of confidence that almost came across as arrogance. As the WBO junior welterweight champion, Lopez was seen as the favorite going into the fight by most experts. Stevenson was very good at boxing technically, but it wasn't clear if he had the knockout power to fight with the best at 140 pounds. These worries were put to rest just minutes after the bell rang. Shakur put on a great clinic, winning almost every round with a masterful demonstration of fighting techniques. Lopez's head snapped back when he hit her. He was impossible to beat with his footwork, and his ring smarts showed as he outthought and outmaneuvered one of the most dangerous fighters in the class. There had been no argument or disagreement by the time the last bell rang. It was one of Shakur Stevenson's best performances to date when he won the ring and WBO junior welterweight belts. The most important thing is that he won 4 world titles by the time he was 28. He joined Oscar de la Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez, and Terence Crawford himself as a very successful boxer. It's impossible to say enough about how important the accomplishment is. It shows that you are good at what you do when you win titles in 4 different weight classes. It shows that you have good skill, discipline, and the ability to change as your body changes. After the fight, Terence Crawford was right there in the ring with Shakur, celebrating with his protege while the Crawford crowd yelled praise. The world of fighting was going crazy. Shakur Stevenson was at the top of his game, and it looked like he could do even better. But just a few days later, the future fell apart. The World Boxing Council pulled a surprise on February 4, 2026, that shocked fans, experts, and even Shakur. In a formal statement, the World Boxing Council said that Shakur Stevenson's WBC lightweight title would be taken away right away. It was a terrible time. Shakur just achieved the biggest win of his career. Before he could catch his breath, one of his belts was ripped by the group. At first glance, their logic seemed clear. The WBC says that a winner can't wear belts from more than one governing body in different weight classes at the same time. This is especially true for divisions where they don't have a WBC crown. The WBC said that Shakur could no longer hold the lightweight title since he was now the WBO junior welterweight champion. Everything makes sense on paper, but here's the catch. When fighters are in Shakur's shoes, they usually have time to make their choice. When you win a new title and move up in weight class, the governing body usually gives you a little time to decide which area you want to compete in next. Fans and experts thought Shakur would have at least a few weeks to think about his options and make a choice. Instead, the WBC quickly stripped him just a few days after his victory, as if they were waiting for the right time to attack.
It was an amazing night. I put the work in. I stayed disciplined throughout my camp. I was in tremendous shape. And T.O., he's a hell of a fighter, but I was the better man.
The Newark fighter didn't have time to really celebrate before he was thrown out from under him. There is no way that fighter Shakur Stevenson would keep quiet when he feels disrespected, and his response on social media was very explosive. He went on X, which used to be called Twitter, and sent out a bunch of really rude texts criticizing the WBC. His main point was simple but damaging. The WBC wanted him to pay them $100,000 to stop a fight that had nothing to do with their belt. Take a moment to think about it. Shakur fought Teofimo Lopez for the WBO and ring titles. It wasn't for the WBC lightweight belt. Lopez wasn't a WBC winner. So far, the group hadn't done anything in the fight. Shakur says they asked for a six-figure sum just because he was defending their lightweight title while also trying to win another belt. Shakur was very direct in one of his tweets, $100K to some crooks who don't deserve it. Nah, Leilani, I'd rather give it to you, baby girl. He was talking about his daughter and making it clear that he thought the money should go to her. That wasn't all he did. The next post he made was much more in-depth. This line shows what Shakur really thinks is going on here. The WBC didn't even have fear to do with this fight, and it's eating them alive. He thinks this has nothing to do with rules or laws. Because the WBC didn't want to be a part of one of the biggest fights of the year, they're punishing him for it. The real kicker, though, came when Shakur said something that made his whole point stronger. The boxer continued, "And I just paid these dudes after my last fight," referring to the fact that he had already paid the WBC what they were owed after his previous fight. That means the question he asked made perfect sense. Why the hell do I owe you $100,000 right now? After that came the charge that would change the whole story. Shakur connected his situation to a much bigger problem. The WBC's actions had already cost the sport one of its best champions. He said, "Because y'all got beef with Bud, so come at me for it." In his last message to the group, he was rude and didn't say sorry. Take off your belt. It doesn't make me. Which means, I don't need your approval. I am still a winner, WBC or not.
Stevenson has been stripped of his WBC 135-pound belt, fresh off his absolute destruction and masterclass in ending Teofimo Lopez's career last Saturday night in Madison Square Garden with the beautiful display of boxing.
To understand why Shakur would say that the WBC was against Bud, think back just a few months to one of the most controversial events in recent boxing history. Terence Crawford did something in September 2025 that many people thought was impossible. He moved up to super middleweight and beat Canelo Alvarez, making him the undisputed 168-pound champion. These fights made Crawford one of the best boxers of all time, and this win made history. He had won another weight class, knocked out the sport's biggest star, and shown again that he was much better than anyone else. Things in the boxing world were still fresh on December 22nd after what they had just seen. The WBC made a shocking announcement. They were taking away the WBC super middleweight belt from Terence Crawford. The charge was clear. Crawford owed the group $300,000 in fees for sanctions, but he refused to pay. The next events are the stuff of fighting legends.
WBC has stripped him now of his 135-pound title because he won the WBO title at 140. Shakur Stevenson made it abundantly clear that he's a 135 pounder. He's going up in weight just for situational fight.
Within hours, Crawford's video answer went viral, and his words were as harsh as they come. "You need to hit yourself in the face. I'm not paying your asses," Crawford told the camera straight on, showing how angry and annoyed he was. "The you talking about? Pay you $300,000. It was blunt and straight, just the way a business problem can turn into a full-on war. In a number of interviews, WBC President Mauricio Sulman tried to defend the group's stance by explaining how the prices work.
No rush to do nothing. Can't give this dude a week to make a decision on what he wants to do next.
Sullivan says Crawford made almost $50 million from the fight with Canelo. The WBC's normal licensing fee would have been 3% of that amount. On the other hand, Sullivan said that the WBC had been kind and lowered the price to just 0.6%. It turned out to be $300,000. He also said that $225,000 of the money would have gone straight to the Boxers Fund, a charity that his late father, Jose Suleiman, set up to help fighters in need. It makes sense at first glance, but Crawford didn't believe it. His counterargument showed that the WBC's reasoning was seriously flawed.
$100,000 plus another $100K something for sanction fees, right? They ain't gonna tell me I ain't even apologize. Like, who the fuck you think I am? Well, you better slap your fucking self and paying your ass shit. Fuck you talking about pay you $300,000.
The numbers Crawford gave were accepted by every other major sanctioning body, such as the WBO, IBF, and WBA. They were fine with the amount he gave. That being said, why did only the WBC ask for more? They thought they should be charged more than everyone else. Why did they think that? Crawford's question was still unanswered. He let out the most emotional scream fighting has heard in years. Instead of continuing to fight for the WBC title, Crawford said he was retiring. He retired as a 5-weight world champion who had never lost a fight. He was the first fighter in the history of 4 belts to be unbeatable in 3 different weight classes.
He did not comply with the rules. Then he moves up to super middle and makes the fight of the century, beats Canelo, makes $50 million or around that. The WBC absolutely is not going to charge 3% of such an amount. We made a very clear 0.6%, which is $300,000.
It was an inheritance with no problems. However, the WBC had still tried. Fans and experts started making connections on social media between what had happened to Crawford and what was happening to Shakur Stevenson. It was impossible to miss the pattern. They were both good friends and trained together. Both of them lost their WBC belts in the same few months. There were arguments about sanction fees in both cases. Both fighters spoke out against the WBC and the way it works. The idea of a conspiracy began to spread very quickly. Was the WBC going after fighters who dared to speak out against it? Was the revenge hidden as following the rules? A lot of people believed Shakur when he said that the WBC was after Bud because they didn't like him. It was the perfect time, and the conditions were too close. If you believe in coincidences, this was a really cool one. But if you think that powerful institutions sometimes use their power to punish people who don't follow the rules, then what was happening to Shakur was like payback. There were different opinions in the boxing world, but one thing was clear. The WBC was losing its credibility very quickly.
With $225,000 going to the Jose Suleiman Boxers Fund, which is to help former fighters in need. And it is just regrettable. Not even a thank you or I'm sorry, taking a different route. No response. I wish him the best.
Fans wondered if the organization really cared about the sport or if it was only interested in keeping its name and making money. Terence Crawford had been sitting back and watching the whole thing. He is no longer playing, but he is still involved in the sport and his protege's career. He didn't say anything for weeks, letting Shakur fight his own war. But eventually, being quiet turns into being involved. The WBC did the same thing to Shakur that they did to Crawford, which is when Crawford reached that point. The legend who was leading couldn't keep quiet any longer. Crawford's Instagram post was carefully crafted to get a point across without giving away too much. He talked directly to the WBC and sent a message that was both rude and defiant. WBC, you can't still be this angry. Hey, bro. I could remove the ring belt. The last line was a direct attack on the group's fixation on fines for breaking rules.
And taking your body through hell for 30 years, would you retire? All right then, so there go your answer. So that's why I retired. I gave my all to boxing, but I'm not gonna give my health to boxing. If I was to come back, well, who would I fight? I'm asking you.
So say it's a good question.
All right, so there you go. There you go. I have nobody to fight. I have nothing to accomplish. So now I'm just coming back for the sport and just money.
The Ring Magazine Championship is one of the most prestigious titles in boxing, but fighters don't have to pay anything to get it. You earn it, not by paying fees to a governing body. Crawford was basically telling them, keep your expensive belts. The ones that actually matter don't cost anything. But the message to Shakur was just as important as the message to the WBC. By speaking out, Crawford was showing solidarity and support. He was telling his protege, I see what they're doing to you and I've got your back. Crawford didn't just post once and move on. He retweeted all of Shakur's posts, amplifying his protege's voice and making sure the entire boxing world saw what was happening. The subtext was crystal clear. The WBC were still bitter about Crawford refusing to pay them, and now they were taking it out on anyone associated with him. And here's the most telling part of this entire saga. WBC President Mauricio Suleiman, who had been so vocal in defending the organization during the Crawford dispute, remained completely silent in response to both fighters. No statement, no clarification, no defense, just radio silence. While the drama between Crawford-Stevenson and the WBC was unfolding, an even bigger threat was looming on the horizon. Mauricio Suleiman was now fighting a war on multiple fronts. And one of those fronts involved the most powerful promoter in combat sports, Dana White. The UFC president had recently launched Zuffa Boxing, a new promotional company with a bold and controversial promise. No sanctioning fees.
You put Lamont Roach at number 2. Shakur says, okay, I'm willing to fight Lamont Roach. And you strip him? This is why these sanction bodies are a joke. Look how long Gervonta Tank Davis held the WBA title. It's a joke.
In several interviews, White made it clear that if Zuffa Boxing took over the sport, he would get rid of all sanctioning bodies. His reason was simple and convincing: these groups don't add anything to the sport, they just take money from fighters. Many fans agreed with White because they were tired of fighters losing money to groups that seemed more interested in watching the fights than in judging them.
The WBC, and you got the fucking green belt, which don't mean fucking shit. Fucking real belt is the ring belt, which is free, motherfucker. Who you talking about? You want me to pay you more than the other sanction bodies because you feel like you better than them. How in the world all the sanction bodies agree to the same amount, but you sit your motherfucking ass up there and say that I need to apologize to you?
Of course, there's no sanctioning fees because they take all the money, Suleiman said, referring to Zuffa Boxing's business model. He was right, comparing one to another is not apples to apples. But the damage had already been done. White had revealed a basic truth that everyone in the boxing community already knew: sanctioning fees are hard on fighters, and the organizations that collect them don't always give anything in return. To make matters worse for Suleiman, Zuffa Boxing insulted him personally during the Crawford-Canelo fight in September 2025. According to Sullivan, they wouldn't give him or his friends credentials to attend the event, and they told him he couldn't even enter the ring, even though the WBC title was on the line in what was called an undisputed championship bout.
They're going to be a Zuffa belt, where like the winner of the Zuffa belt has a springboard into like Riyadh season and a championship fight, a Ring Magazine fight.
You and I have never talked about this, but the answer is yes.
Right, of
exactly
course.
What will happen?
Of course, yeah. Right.
There will be a Zuffa belt, and then there will be a ring belt. And yes, I will not recognize.
It's embarrassing and unheard of for the president of a major sanctioning body to be turned away from a fight featuring his own organization's title. Suleiman's angry response showed how badly the disrespect had hurt him. "There's no need to be so cocky and hostile," he said. Boxing and the UFC are two very different worlds. It's about boxers here. Only the fighters who came before, during, and after their years of glory make it worth living. The other side isn't. It's them. It's the money. The irony of Sullivan's statement was not lost on anyone who paid attention. While claiming that the WBC exists only for the benefit of boxers, he was also stripping champions such as Crawford and Stevenson for failing to pay sanctioning fees. While he spoke of putting fighters first, his organization demanded hundreds of thousands of dollars from sportsmen who had just endangered their health and livelihoods in the ring. The hypocrisy was obvious, and it only bolstered Dana White's case that the sanctioning bodies should be disbanded. So, where does all this leave us? Shakur Stevenson accomplished all a fighter is expected to do. He faced the best competition available. He defended his title against formidable opponents. He pushed himself by going up in weight to fight a dangerous champion. His reward for all of this was the loss of his WBC lightweight title just days after his most significant victory of his career. The double standard is tough to ignore. The World Boxing Council's message to fighters is clear. Pay us or you'll lose your belt. No matter how talented you are. It makes no difference how many times you've put your life on the line in the ring. If you do not comply with their financial demands, they will deduct what you have earned. Crawford and Shakur Stevenson are now standing up to a system that has dominated boxing for decades. And they are not alone. Dana White is lurking in the shadows, establishing Zuffa boxing as a genuine alternative and promising fighters a future without sanctioning costs. The question remains, is this really about laws and regulations, or is it personal? Did the WBC remove Shakur because he broke their rules, or because they were upset about losing control of the Crawford-Lopez narrative? Are they constantly implementing policies, or are they specifically targeting fighters who speak out against them? The evidence suggests the latter, and the boxing world is beginning to take note. In a sport where fighters risk everything, including their health, future, and lives, the true fight may not take place in the ring. It might be taking place in boardrooms and on social media between athletes who want to be treated properly and organizations that want to keep their influence. With Crawford's retirement and Stevenson's championship stripped, the WBC has gained two formidable opponents. And as Dana White expands his boxing empire, the sanctioning bodies may soon realize that their days of unbridled power are coming to an end. The war has only just begun, and boxing's future hangs in the balance. Please share your ideas in the comments below. Alright, gentlemen, to stay up to speed on boxing news, moments, events, and actions, subscribe to Knockout Updates and turn on notifications. Check out our other videos. Until next time, peace.